Supposedly. There we go. Beautiful. Excellent. Well, hello. I'm trying something a little different here. Usually I do my podcast, we pre-record and then we edit and then there's an intro and stuff, but this time around we're just going with the flow. We're going to step into it and just know that this is going to be beautiful. So I would love to introduce all of you to Brandi. She's a beautiful soul from Philadelphia. And she's gone through a journey of becoming a psychic medium herself. And now she feels and knows that her mission is to help others along the journey, because it's so much easier when we have somebody to guide us. I hear that. That's exactly what brought me to my journey as well. So welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And hello to everyone out there.
Awesome. Well, and so what we normally do on my podcast is just go through and share your story, because the purpose of my podcast is to share that feeling that you had inside of the beginning that kind of was like, I don't know what this is. And then the journey that you went through to kind of uncover that, or finding yourself within that, so that other people that are on this journey can then see that, align with, and see what parts like say, oh, that makes sense. I connect with that. And then at the end, you can share kind of like what you do and what you offer, so that people can just really, who do connect with you, can connect with you offline outside of this. And I will put all your links and stuff in the description as well later.
Okay, great. So thanks so much. So yeah, my journey started very young. I think I was like 10 or 12 years old, and I was hearing spirits. So I wasn't really able to see them, but I was hearing them. And the way I heard them was it was my voice, but not my thought. So I was that young. I didn't know what clairaudience was, which I learned now that that's what that is. That's how they were communicating with me. So honestly, like, I thought, am I going crazy? Like, if I tell someone about this, are they going to think I'm nuts? Or are they going to think I'm making things up, or I'm just doing this for attention? So I kept it quiet for years and years. And I just ignore it, because I was like, I don't know what they want. Like, I don't know what to do with these messages. I was just too young to understand anything. And then I was in my 20s. I think I was like 20 or 21. My grandma was passing away. So my family and I were all in her hospice room as she was taking her last breath. We were all around her, holding hands, crying, as it was a very sad moment. But as she took her last breath, I literally felt her spirit rise above the bed. And in that moment, when I looked above the bed, I saw the most brilliant, like, magnificent colors that are like not even in like our human earth world. Like, it was so bright and amazing. And it was forming a star, and it was beating in and out like a heartbeat. And in that moment, I knew she was at peace. I knew her angels were there to welcome her to the spirit world. I knew her past loved ones who had passed away were there with her. And I also knew that she wanted me to see that. So I don't know how I knew any of this. It was just that feeling of, I know this. This is 100% true. So it was so strong, I actually had to leave the room. And my cousins, they thought I left the room because I was so sad. But it was actually because I'm not religious at all, but this very spiritual experience was happening that I didn't understand. And it was so strong. And it took me years to even tell them what happened, because, again, I thought, like, is this an appropriate moment to tell them? Are they going to think I'm making this up? So I didn't tell them for a very long time. But since then, I was like,
Brandi, sorry, can I just pause you for a quick second? I'll probably jump in a couple times and
okay,
whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you sitting in front of a window where people are walking by or something?
No.
Because as you're speaking, there's like this light that keeps like traveling across the screen. We're gonna have to go back and look at this replay, because there's like across the top of the screen, I keep seeing this like shadow
that could be the windows this way.
Yeah.
So maybe the reflection's coming in and hitting the wall.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Because I live in the city, so there are cars going past, but I don't.
Maybe that's it.
Is it okay, or do you want me to move?
No. It's fine. I'm just curious. I'm like, okay, we're talking about people and passing and spirits and what we're seeing, and then I'm like seeing this energy kind of travel across the screen, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. A couple of things I really wanted to touch on, though, is that you said clairaudience, and like you said, it's, we all have these abilities, or there's abilities out there that we're not even sure is out there. Well, we don't know, right? When we're starting the journey, we don't, like you said, you didn't know you were hearing these voices, and you didn't know exactly what that was, or could explain what clairaudience was, but now you know and understand. And this is the thing, we have these things happen where we can't explain it. And we're just like, okay, like you said, we feel like we're crazy. And this is part of the purpose of what I'm doing here with this podcast, is to be able to, the more we have these conversations, the more we are able to express this conversation and put it publicly out there, the more we're creating awareness, but we're also normalizing this conversation.
Yes.
Because this is a thing that I feel like I find when we're in these circles, we'll like have these conversations. And I know I've had so many conversations with even just my fellow coaches and clients and stuff like that. It's like, this might sound crazy, but I'm like, there is nothing that sounds crazy to me, because and this is it. This is the beauty of it. So I apologize for interrupting, but
No, yeah.
I love that part of the journey. It's just like, and of course it does sound crazy when we're in the beginning and we don't want to share it because we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And now, like you said, like I feel like no one can share anything with me that I haven't either had myself or heard from someone else. So, and I think a lot of it, like when I was younger, I was so fearful of it because it's that unknown, like what is this going on? But once you can take control of it and develop it, it's way less scary because you start to understand it so much more. So I think it's that fear of, I don't understand what's going on, I don't know what's going on. And then once you can break through that, then it's like so much, it's actually really beautiful and amazing. And I would never want to go back to my life before
I hear that
now.
I totally hear that. I'm like, once you kind of break through that barrier of the veil and all that stuff, it's like, yeah, I can't go back there. It's like riding a bike. You can't unlearn it.
Yes, yes, that's such a good point. Yes.
So tell me more, sorry, and continue on your journey.
Yeah. So that was just like a huge thing for me. And it was just so profound. So then I started to read like a ton of books, and I was like watching a lot of, like Teresa Caputo and Tyler Henry type of shows, the psychic mediums on TV. I was listening to podcasts, but like nothing was working. And I was like, okay, now I have a lot of knowledge on the topic from all of this, but nothing's developing it. So it took me years actually to find a mentor. And now that I am a mentor, I'm like, why is no one mentoring? Like you can get a coach for anything, like there's confidence coaches out there, life coaches, like sports coach. Like, why is there not one for this? So, once I found her, I only worked with her for like an hour a month for 6 months. And my abilities just skyrocketed. Like I was able to call spirit on demand. I was able to set boundaries to let them know, hey, this is when I want to talk to you. And this is not when I want to talk to you. Just totally had control over it. And of course you go through the phase, and it's a long phase of trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting the message from spirit, like, those feelings of like, oh my gosh, am I saying the right thing? Am I doing it in the right way? Like, are they going to validate this? And sometimes they wouldn't even validate it. I still wouldn't trust it. So you go through that whole practice of going through that. But then now I'm just so confident in it and I trust it so much. So yeah, it was like once someone could tell me, these are the exercises you need to do, and I've been in your shoes. So I created my mentorship program. It's 90 days and I'm with them every step of the way. Like anytime they have a question, they can reach out to me. I don't ever want them to be stuck. And it has 70 exercises in it that are all, different exercises to work out that psychic muscle, your third eye chakra, to get it going and to know exactly what to do in a safe and wise way. Because a lot of times people just kind of dabble and don't know what they're doing. And that's very unsafe because you're not protecting your energy. You don't know what you're inviting in. So it's just like a very safe place. And then they also have the like-minded community because everyone that's in the program gets together every other week. Everything's over Zoom now. They talk about their experiences. They hear everybody else's questions. So it's really become this amazing thing that like, I just feel like this is why I was put here on earth to like create these light workers. Because sure, I can do a mediumship reading or a spirit guide reading, but if I can create an army of people that can do that, like now there's so much healing in the world that like, love it.
And this is, I feel the same way. Like, and it's not so much about the creation of like, it's just creating the space for people to step into the energy that they already have access to. Like, this is one thing I know my belief is that has shifted. It's like, when I first started, it was like, how do I have that? I want to be able to have that connection, but how do I know I even have a gift? I was seeing other people that were connecting with their gifts. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to discover if I even have one. And my belief now, I know every single soul on this earth has access to it. It's just whether or not we choose to tap into it, or whether or not we want to be able to tap into it. And it's a choice. So it's part of the beautiful part of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of my clients are always like, I read a ton of books. And I'm like, so did I, trust me. A book might have like 5 exercises in it for you to do. And I love it when it's like, close your eyes, but then you need to read the exercise.
Yeah.
So all my
Right.
exercises are on video so that they don't, if they do have their eyes closed, they're still hearing me talk. But like, just learning 5 little exercises is just such a small piece of the puzzle. You really need the whole puzzle to be able to do it. So, I never found one book that had all of the things that I needed to do in it. So yeah, that's why I just like created this program that's like so extensive, and you actually have someone. It's not like a self-study where you're just off and on your own. Like, you actually have access to me to say, hey, you're not crazy. This is normal, or like, I'm here and I understand what you're going through.
And this is the beautiful part, like we said, about having a mentor, having a coach, or having somebody alongside you in the journey. Like you said, there's coaches for all different things. And there's a purpose for that. It's because, like you said, I don't know if you mentioned it while we were here, but before we started this call, you had said about, I could have done this by myself and it would have taken years, versus connecting with somebody who in 6 months had you really tap in, understand, and develop your skills in such a beautiful way. And this is exactly why we have mentors and coaches and spaces and people in these spaces to be able to help us. So we could spend hours and days and weeks and months and years struggling through the process, when somebody could be there helping you along the way, that's already been there, that understands what you're going through, that may, like you said, connect you to a like-minded community that's going through the same thing. And when we have those tools in our toolbox, it just makes the journey so much easier and faster.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I wish when I was like 10 or 12, I found this, like, how amazing would that have been? But, it wasn't like that on my journey, but so glad to be where I am now on the journey. But yeah, she accelerated the process by who knows where I would have been without her, honestly. So awesome.
Well, and like you said, about creating this army of light workers, and the fact that we can have people that help others. And there's such a call for that right now, of people stepping up into this journey and changing the world and making a shift. And that's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, and stepping into this leadership role of helping people move forward in their business, or step forward in every way, shape, or form, whether you're a psychic medium, whether you're a yogi, whether you're like whatever, it doesn't matter, because we are all light workers and all working towards changing the collective consciousness, but helping people along the way. And it's going to take every single one of us to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it truly is like, people don't realize whenever you tap into this, like, your reality almost changes, because you're so used to something your whole life and believing something. And then this beautiful awakening happens through your journey. And then it's like, wait a minute, everything I just knew just changed, but it changes for the better and like so much more awesome. So it's hard to explain unless you've gone through it. But like, for instance, now when something happens to me, it's more, instead of why is this happening, it's more, what is this teaching me? What am I going to learn from this? How's this going to make me stronger? So it just gets you to look at things differently. And then, because I'm a medium and I can literally talk to dead people all day long, it transformed my view of death. Like, I know that these people are just with us in a different way, and you can still communicate with them. You're going to see them again. It's just a whole different way of looking at things.
It's so true. I mean, when I started my journey, it was the same thing. I was terrified of death. Like, literally, it was one of my worst fears. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of us, but it's because I felt like there was nothing afterwards. What happens afterwards? And I didn't know when we did, like you said before, in the beginning, when you started your journey, when you don't know what it is, it's scary and there's fear there. And then, like you said, when I had my awakening and I started realizing that, like you said, there are souls out there, like, because I've connected with them too, not specifically as direct as you do, I'm sure. And not it's like a kind of haphazard way that I connect with people. Sometimes I've helped people pass in my experience, but I can't connect specifically to one person. It just kind of happens. I haven't tapped into that side of it. But like, we all have this ability to connect, and we all have this ability to do something in our own way, in our own gift. Like you said, clear audience is yours, but everybody, there's so many different ways that we can connect. And, just having that ability within us and having that awakening and having this like whatever, but knowing that there's something else there took away that fear. Knowing that, in my belief, we are as a physical, and this is one of the thoughts. I shared this with somebody the other day. I can't remember where exactly it was, but we have this feeling within us of like, when we grow older, our body changes and grows older, but we're all like, I don't feel older.
Yes.
It's because we don't. Our soul, our consciousness, our awareness doesn't age, because we don't. When our physical body ends, we continue on.
Yeah. Because we're all made of that energy. So it's like energy doesn't get sick. It doesn't get old. So you're going to have that same energy inside of you. It's your soul. So yeah. And then you're going on to a beautiful place. And then, it's just like I did a past life regression therapy, and it was awesome because I got to go to the spirit world. I got to meet my spirit guides there. And it was so awesome that when I came back to my body, I was sore for like a week. It felt like I did a workout because I was going back into that physical body where I had been so light and peaceful and wasn't constrained to this body. And then when I came back into it, I was sore. Like it was a crazy experience, but like just to know that that's out there, and that you're going to see the light and you're going to see your family again. Like it's really beautiful. And people that are skeptics, like even my own dad, for example, he just believes when we die, we're just like, it turns black and that's it. And we're done, And I'm like, even if it's not real, right? Let's just pretend for a second that it's not. Why would you choose to believe that? Like, why wouldn't you want to just believe that something amazing happens after it instead of believing that? Like, so even if people just think it's a belief that they're not a medium like you and I that can talk to these dead people, but if you had a choice in believing it, I don't know why someone would want to believe that. Like, if you just have a choice to believe whatever you want,
Well, and this is it. And even like you said, the people that don't have this belief, and that don't, the skeptics that don't think that, we're sitting here having this crazy conversation with dead people. But this is the thing. And that, like, it's funny because I've done, I played a TikTok I ended up reposting it to Instagram, and it went on forever. It was like a whole month and a half. I was getting new followers and it went viral, whatever. And a lot of the comments were either like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it wasn't even me. It was about I reposted like a duel of somebody else. And but it was me sharing it. And so I was getting the comments, and, it's either these people that are cheering them on saying like, this is such a good message, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the other side that's like, this is crazy. You guys are cuckoo, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, but you have the power of choice to choose that. Yeah. And the people that were like, there was one guy that was on there that was like, who's this blonde chick who has like, she's not adding any value to this. Like, what's she doing? I said, but even you making these comments is making this video continue on and carry on. So whether you choose to be a belief in it or not, you're still helping the message spread. So yeah, that's true. That. You know what I mean? Like, I totally cheer them on.
That's true.
So even the skeptics, it's like, it's their choice, and that's okay.
Yeah, the free will. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I know in my journey too, like once I finally like came out of the spiritual closet to my family, so I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a medium. I'm going to do this program. So it was at Christmas a couple years ago. So my whole family was there, and I thought they were all going to think I was nuts, but I didn't know how they were going to approach it. And then like my mom's like, oh yeah, well, I have that ability. And then my aunt's like, oh yeah, me too. And your great grandma with this. And my uncle's like, oh yeah, I have that. And like nobody was surprised. Everyone has it. And I'm like, why is no one talking about this? Right? Why all these years I thought I was totally alone, totally crazy. And then I bring it up and like they're not surprised I'm doing this at all. And they think it's, they're like, yeah, we all have that.
Well, one, of course, it travels through the family, like the same kind of idea. But two, it's like you said, it wasn't until you voiced it, made that voice louder, that it seemed to show up all around you. Isn't that interesting?
And now I want to be like the spokesperson. Like I have no problem telling anybody and everyone about this, because I feel like if I can help that one person that was me and they needed to hear from someone, like let me be your spokesperson, because it's awesome and it's nothing to be ashamed of. it's an awesome, amazing gift. And yeah, I just feel like it's still unfortunately taboo in our society to not really talk about it. But yeah, like everyone start talking.
Well, this is exactly what we're here to do. We're starting to normalize this conversation, my friend. So thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story. And so, Brandi, whereabouts are you? If people wanted to connect with you outside of this, where can they connect with you?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's Brandi Van Medium. And then I also have my website, brandyvan.com. And they can go to my website. I have a free ebook to give them. And it's funny that you mentioned this. It's actually something that you mentioned. So it's a fun little quiz that they'll receive on first, if you don't know what a psychic experience is, you won't know that you're having psychic experiences. So it goes through what a psychic experience is, and then you can like circle or check mark to see which ones you're having. But then it's also divided into the type of psychic you might be. So maybe you're an intuitive, or maybe you're an empath, or maybe you're a medium. So that way you can see what you're having, and then also like what type of psychic you would be based on your quiz results. So yeah, they can do that on my website.
That's exciting. I love that, because that's like so many people have that question that I connect you. Like, I don't even know what my gifts are, blah, blah, blah. So I know where to redirect them. This is good.
Awesome.
I want to do your quiz.
Yes. Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, this has been so good. And like, I feel like there's still something we haven't touched on. I just want to figure out what that might be.
Okay.
Oh, the knowing. This is what I want. I did make a note of that. I'm like reading my notes, and sometimes they're just jargon of like scribbles. So one of the things I want to touch on when your story, you said you had this like when you were early on, when you were on the journey and you had these experiences, but you left, even like, you know, when you had left your grandmother's side and as she was passing, you walked away, you had this knowing inside of you. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, it's, you know, and a lot of people have this. It's just a knowing without knowing how you know, but like you're 100% sure of it. And I think it comes up differently in different people, but it's just this feeling in your body of complete trust and complete like surrender, just knowing that it's true. And then even when I did like a mediumship reading later on, with a medium did a reading for me, and she knew all about it and was like, your grandma wanted to give you that experience. She knew what you were, that you were seeing it and that you were feeling it. And so that even validated what I thought. But it's just crazy how you just know. And people will be like, well, how? And I'm like, I can't explain it. So even you're asking me right now, and I can't explain it. And that's, now I know, is the other clair, the claircognizance, because your clairs go by those 5 physical senses. But you know, so it's just that knowing without knowing how you know. It's just like a feeling, and you're 100% sure of it. There's no one that could tell me that it wasn't true.
Yeah, I have to take the quiz now.
Like, that's not that answers your question. I really don't have an answer for it. You just know without like knowing how you know.
Well, and I wanted to bring you back to that for that reason, like for people to start like, oh, that's a thing, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of us have that, and we have it in our life day to day, even before we have an awakening and understand it all. We have this like an idea. It's simply an idea. It may not be a knowing in the thought, but we have this idea, and we may not know where the ideas come from, but we had the idea. So we've always had this ability to have this knowing, but we just never really tapped into it and learning to trust it. So that's why I kind of wanted to come back and touch on that, because it's important along your journey. And to like, when we start creating evidence of what's happening, then it just gets easier, and it feels more validated, and we know it's easier to step into and trust these gifts that we have when we can recognize where it showed up in the past. So that's what I wanted to get right there.
Yeah. And even like, just to give your audience some things here, like, you know, if you've ever gone into a room and you just get a bad vibe from being in it, that's a psychic experience. People might think that's just a normal everyday human one, but that's actually psychic. Or like, you think of someone and you haven't talked to them in forever, and then they end up calling you later that day. Like, that's a psychic experience. Or maybe you're talking to someone and you're like, I don't know if I can trust this person. That's psychic. So people are having these experiences every day, but they just don't realize they're psychic ones. And so I think if they had that knowledge, then they'd realize, oh, I am having psychic experiences. Now, the difference between that and becoming a psychic, you know, everyone has these psychic experiences. Everyone can be psychic, but to be a psychic means you're developing it, you're controlling it, you know how to funnel it to where it needs to go and heal people. So that's the difference between like everyone having psychic abilities and then like actually becoming a psychic.
That's such a beautiful like explanation and point. And then And that it, you know, again, it relates to the fact that everybody has abilities within them. It's just whether or not we choose to tap into them or not. And, you know, like you said, you can choose to become a psychic and utilize the skills and abilities that you have. And it's just like a workout. You just, and I'm sure, you know, you just go through, you try these exercises, practice, and like you said, get better at developing the skills of it. And then you're there, you can help other people, right?
And that's why I always say that. I'm like, it's like going to the gym. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but over time, all of a sudden, you're going to see the difference. And because you're using your mind, I don't think people realize how much energy they're expending. So I tell my clients, like, only do this for 20 to 30 minutes a day because you're not going to realize how much energy you're expending. And we don't want you to be tired and depleted of your energy. So, yeah, you only do it for so much time. It's like, you know, if you haven't been to the gym in 10 years, like don't go for 4 hours. So it's that same concept of like this muscle you've never trained before. And so take it easy at the beginning and then you'll just see it like grow over time like a garden, you know, like just plant your little seeds and then your garden will grow.
I love that. And I feel the same way. Like when I work with my clients with Reiki, like, and even just talking about your out of body experience, like those, we're energetic beings, and even though we're not physically moving, it takes energy to do that. So we're expending it and we feel tired, dehydrated, like all of these things, like we just ran a marathon. And if we notice that, like you said, your body was aching the next couple of days and we don't even realize how much energy this stuff takes. So such a good point. That was beautiful. Anyway, I know we like did the like, okay, well, we'll wrap it up. And then I kind of brought the conversation back, but I appreciate you and your patience with me and coming in my roundabout way.
No, love it.
But anyway, I thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your story and sharing a little more about you, your heart, and what you're doing to create a beautiful space for people to continue to move forward with their own abilities and gifts.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me this platform to tell everyone. I really appreciate that.
Of course. So like we said, Brandi, you can find her on Facebook and Instagram. I will put her links in the description here once this kind of gets posted. And yeah, we'll go from there. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you know where I'm at: Facebook, Instagram, and obviously through YouTube. But I'm also, I think I mentioned it to Brandi, I'm in the process of creating a spiritual collective network. So anybody that's a spiritual entrepreneur, you got to reach out. We got to chat because there's so much more coming through for that. So I'm super excited. Anyway, thank you all for watching and being here and being in our energy, and have a beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all soon.